When we hear samurai versus ninja, we imagine two opposite forces locked in a deadly, centuries-long war. Honor against deception, swords against shadows. But the real story is far more complex, and in many ways, far more interesting than the myth. For generations, popular culture has shaped how we see these two figures. The samurai stands tall in armor, loyal to his lord, guided by honor and discipline. The ninja hides in darkness, moving silently across rooftops, striking without warning. It feels like a natural rivalry, light versus shadow. But history rarely fits into such clean categories. To understand the truth, we must travel back to medieval Japan, into a period of instability and constant war. Between the 5th and 16th centuries, Japan entered what is known as the Sengoku period, the age of warring states. Central authority had weakened. Regional warlords, kaji daimyo, fought each other for land, power, and survival. In T's world, the samurai were not just noble warriors in shining armor. They were the military elite, bound by loyalty to their daimyo. They served as generals, officers, administrators, and enforcers. They were trained from youth in martial arts, archery, swordsmanship, and horseback combat. But more importantly, they were trained in obedience and hierarchy. The idea of Bushido, the way of the warrior, emphasized loyalty, courage, and honor. However, the rigid, romantic version of Bushido that many people know today developed later. During the Sengoku period, survival mattered more than poetry. Samurai were often pragmatic, strategic, and sometimes ruthless. Now, where do the ninja fit into this world? The word ninja itself is a later popular term. Historically, they were more often called shinobi. The word implies stealth, endurance, concealment. They were not a formal social class like the samurai. They were specialists. Many shinobi came from mountainous regions, like Aiga and Koga. These areas were semi-independent and known for their unique military skills. Unlike the hierarchical samurai clans, these communities developed methods based on adaptability and guerrilla tactics. Shinobi were trained in espionage, sabotage, reconnaissance, infiltration, and psychological warfare. They gathered intelligence. They studied enemy movements. They mapped terrain and castle layouts. They disrupted supply lines. Sometimes they assassinated targets, but assassination was only one small part of their function. Here is where the myth begins to break apart. The popular image suggests that samurai despised the ninja as dishonorable tricksters. But in reality, many daimyo hired shinobi. Why? Because information wins wars faster than swords. A general who knows the enemy's weaknesses can avoid unnecessary bloodshed. A lord who understands rival alliances can manipulate politics. Shinobi provided intelligence that allowed samurai commanders to make better decisions. So rather than enemies, samurai and shinobi often operated within the same system. The real tension was not moral, it was strategic. Samurai fought in open battle formations. They wore identifiable armor. They carried banners to signal allegiance and command. Their presence was visible power. Shinobi operated differently. They blended in with peasants, monks, merchants, or guards. Their strength was invisibility. A spy dressed in black from head to toe would stand out immediately. The iconic black outfit actually comes from later theater traditions, where stagehands wore black to indicate invisibility to the audience. In real life, shinobi dressed to disappear. Let's consider one of the most powerful warlords of the era, Oda Nobunaga. He was ambitious, innovative, and ruthless. He used firearms early. He broke old traditions. He also understood the value of intelligence. Yet Nobunaga eventually attacked and destroyed the Iga region, one of the centers associated with shinobi. Why? Not because he hated ninja as dishonorable, but because independent military communities threatened centralized power. The so-called samurai versus ninja rivalry often reflects political consolidation rather than cultural hatred. As Japan moved toward unification under leaders like Toyotomi Hideyoshi and later Tokugawa Ieyasu, the need for decentralized guerrilla networks declined. Stability reduces the demand for covert warfare. Once Tokugawa established peace in the early 17th century, Japan entered the Edo period, a time of relative internal stability lasting over 250 years. In this peaceful era, samurai changed dramatically. Without constant wars, Many samurai became bureaucrats and officials. Their warrior identity became more symbolic and philosophical. The strict, moral version of Bushido developed more strongly during this time. Honor became an idealized code. Meanwhile, shinobi gradually faded from practical military importance. But legends grew. When real operations disappear, imagination fills the space. Stories exaggerated their abilities. Ninja were said to vanish in smoke, walk on water, or control the elements. They became supernatural figures in folklore. At the same time, samurai were romanticized as perfect embodiments of discipline and loyalty. The messy political realities of betrayal and ambition were simplified into noble ideals. Fast forward to the 20th century, Western audiences encountered Japanese history through cinema and comics. Filmmakers needed clear archetypes, so the samurai became the honorable knight. The ninja became the mysterious assassin. The contrast was simple and powerful. It sold well, but real history is more layered. In warfare, open force and covert strategy are complementary, not opposites. A military commander uses infantry for visible strength and intelligence networks for invisible advantage. In modern terms, it is the difference between conventional armies and special operations units. No serious military system rejects intelligence as dishonorable. It simply recognizes different functions. So why does the rivalry myth endure? Because it reflects a universal human tension. Honor versus pragmatism. Transparency versus secrecy. Tradition versus adaptation. Samurai symbolize visible order. Ninja symbolize hidden strategy. In times of chaos, both are necessary. Consider this. A samurai army marching into battle without intelligence is blind. A network of spies without organized military force is powerless. One cannot dominate alone. The Sengoku period proved this repeatedly. Lords who relied only on brute strength often failed. Those who combined military power with information control succeeded. Even the famous Battle of Sakigahara in 1600, which paved the way for Tokugawa dominance, involved shifting alliances and secret negotiations. Victory did not come purely from swords, it came from strategy. So the deadliest rivalry was less about moral opposition and more about the integration of different methods of survival. The romantic image of samurai and ninja facing each other across a moonlit battlefield is compelling, but historically, they were often tools used by the same masters, and there is something even deeper here. The myth of their rivalry reflects how societies define power. Visible power armies, uniforms, banners, reassures people. Invisible power, spies, information networks, unsettles them. We prefer to believe in clean battles rather than hidden manipulations. Yet history repeatedly shows that wars are decided as much by information as by force. In Tatsensei, the story of samurai and ninja is timeless. It mirrors modern realities. Governments maintain conventional forces and intelligence agencies. Public ceremonies display strength. Private operations secure advantage. The ancient tension between visible and invisible power continues. So, what is the real truth behind Japan's so-called deadliest rivalry? It was not a constant war between two opposing philosophies. It was a strategic coexistence within a fragmented world struggling for stability. Samurai represented structure, shinobi represented adaptability. One preserved order through hierarchy, the other exploited chaos through flexibility. When Japan unified, both roles evolved or diminished, but their symbolic power remained. Today, samurai and ninja live more strongly in imagination than in archives. They inspire films, anime, games, and global fascination. Yet beneath the stylized armor and shadowy masks lies a deeper lesson. History is rarely a battle between pure opposites. It is a negotiation between different strategies of survival. Samurai versus ninja makes for a thrilling story, but samurai and ninja together tell us something more profound. They show that power is never singular. It is layered. It is visible and invisible at once. And perhaps the reason we still love this rivalry is because it reflects ourselves, our desire to be honorable, our need to be strategic, and our constant balance between standing in the light and moving through the shadows.